What are you afraid to do? What am I afraid to do? I'm afraid to do this shit. I like this. This is fun. I dig it. But I'm also very scared of doing it. I'm very scared of putting anything out into the world, as I imagine most people probably are. It's like if you're sitting in class, right? And you're in a classroom and the teacher asks you a question. It's like, what's the answer? Raise your hand for the answer. Why is it so scary to raise your hand and give an answer to just like a group full of other people just like you who are just as terrified of doing the same thing, right? Like, it's not like everyone else is just totally chill about it and they don't care and they're, oh, like, I just don't want to raise my hand because they probably don't know the answer. But everyone is terrified. That's my point. We live in this world, me included, where we assume that other people are not going through the same shit that we are. And that is like one of the weirdest and illogical things about life, it seems like to me. We're all afraid of what other people think. Like, I'm afraid of what you think about me, and you're afraid of what I think about you. When in reality, neither of us probably gives two shits about the other person because we're too busy and selfish thinking about ourselves and what you think about me. Like, I'm not thinking about you. The only time I'm thinking about you is when I'm thinking about what you think about me. So the truth is, like, no one else really cares. Everyone's too busy thinking about themselves. And I think that this realization is just like, I just did this video on freedom and how it's not just financial freedom that matters. It's like time freedom and locational freedom and all this stuff. Honestly, like, that's all great. That's all fine and dandy. But that's very external freedom, right? Like, that's very objective. I can look at someone's life and it's like, oh, they have the time and theoretically all the money and the locational independence to do whatever the hell they want. But that still says absolutely nothing about what's actually going on in their head 24/7. And that is much more important than their external situation, right? Our lives, our happiness, our satisfaction, every emotion that we have is what dictates our life. Like, every element of our life is seen through this filter of our minds. And I can totally see this is getting like a little too deep, bro. But think about it. You cannot experience something. Objective reality is actually much less important than subjective reality. Subjective reality means that I can experience something and you can experience the same exact thing. But our experiences of that same thing are going to be vastly different depending on how we process it and what we think about what we just experienced. Like, maybe I love chocolate, but you hate chocolate. We can eat the same chocolate bar, and I'm super stoked about it, and I'm so happy, while you're miserable and throwing up, right? Like, that's proof that our subjective interpretation and our experience subjectively is much more important than the objective reality of that chocolate bar. And this is not just a chocolate bar. This is your entire life. This is the quality of your life. Like, as simple as you can put it, is how you interpret your reality. And sure, it's worth it to try to improve your objective reality. It's worth it to try to get all those freedoms that I was talking about in the last video and work hard to build the business and make money and have time freedom and have locational freedom and all that. I totally agree. But that is not what is ultimately going to be most responsible for any semblance of consistent joy in your life. Joy comes from this internal decision that I am going to be a happy person. I'm going to process the world and process events, even shitty events, even events that suck. I'm going to do my best to process them in a way that makes me at least, I won't say happy, but at least like okay. I'm not going to let all this shit get me down when it doesn't need to, and I'm going to look for any opportunity I can to just be happy and find joy in life. That is going to much more consistently and reliably make you a happy person, give you a sense of contentment and fulfillment and satisfaction with your life, than messing around on this chessboard of life trying to build this perfect objective reality, right? The objective reality of I make 20 grand a month. I can travel wherever I want. I have all these super cool things I can do. I got this house that's super sweet. You know, all the girls are all over me. This objective reality of, damn, that guy's got it figured out. That says actually very little about how happy that dude actually is. What's much more important is how he processes all of that. Maybe he's still so unsatisfied with what he's built so far that he's actually still miserable. Even though he's 20 levels above you or me, maybe that's still not even close to enough for him. And he's got his sights on the next guy who's got 20 levels over him. So his subjective reality is that this isn't enough. So he's depressed. He hates his life. He talks trash to himself all the time, super self-abusive, no self-love, no self-care. Bro, it's 2020. Self-love is the thing. So you can see that subjective interpretation of reality is much more important, and like you can see, right? I've been so persuasive and convincing in this video with all this studies and data to back up my points. No, but I can tell you from my own personal experience that your subjective interpretation is much more important than like objectively where you are, right? Because I caught myself doing the same thing. I had a goal about a year ago, or a year and a half or something like that, a couple years ago, to reach a certain income every single month and to have the time freedom and the locational freedom. I had this goal. I reached that goal. Super exciting, right? Hell yeah, I reached this goal that I set for myself. Now I can theoretically go do whatever I want. But that's not what happens. What happens instead is that you start immediately looking up higher to other people who are making more than you and who have maybe even more freedom, which actually, I don't even know if that's possible. It's mainly the money thing. It's mainly like, oh, I'm making 5 grand a month. This guy's making 10 grand a month. I need to get there and then I can be happy. So it's just this never ending, never enough, just more. So that's why objective reality is so much less important. I'm trying to make some sort of cohesive argument, but really this is just like a brain dump. Back to fear. How the hell am I going to go back to fear? This was all over the place. Do what you're afraid of. This is to myself as well. Do what you're afraid of. I think that the best advice that I've heard so far that's just a simple one-line answer to what should I do is do what you're afraid of. Anytime that I am wondering, okay, what do I need to do the most? It's do what you're afraid of. And the reason you should do what you're afraid of, and I should do what I'm afraid of, is because that's directly telling us where's the biggest opportunity for the most growth, right? Because the things that we're afraid of are ultimately going to be where we have the most actual noticeable change in our lives. When are we most proud about doing something? Or what are we most proud about doing? We're most proud about doing something that we were terrified of, right? Like jumping off a 50-foot cliff, or I don't know, riding a motorcycle, I guess some people are afraid of. Like we're so proud and so happy that we were able to overcome our fear and do something despite how terrified we were of it. So that's a direct indicator right there of what would I be super proud and content and satisfied with doing. It would be something that I was afraid of doing. It's like such a clear, just like big red like runway arrow to pointing you where you should go. This is, all right, what should I do with my life? What are you afraid of doing? Just answer that question. I'm sure you can come up with a whole list, just like I can, and you go, oh shit, I really don't want to do that. And then you'll procrastinate for a few months, maybe a few weeks, I don't know, depending on how disciplined you are. But eventually you'll go, okay, I'll do it. I'll finally do it. I'll do what I'm afraid of. And it'll be hard and it'll suck, but chances are you'll probably realize that A, it wasn't as bad as you thought it was going to be, and B, it's very satisfying to do. And if you do it in the beginning of the day, or if you do it that day, when you go to bed that night, you'll have a sense of satisfaction that you probably haven't felt in a while. because you'll be lying there and go, oh, okay, maybe I didn't like totally nail my day, but I did that thing, and I'm really proud of that thing. And as long as I did that thing today, I'm pretty satisfied. So that's the panacea answer to what should you do with your life, or what should you do with your day today, or your week, or your month. What are you afraid of doing? Just do that, and you'll find someplace cool. You'll end up somewhere cool. All right, that's number 2, video number 2 out of 11. We're getting there. If you haven't noticed, this is directly after the first one that I just shot, because I figure it's all set up, and we're gonna go for it. I had no idea what I was gonna talk about this video, so hopefully it turned up somewhat coherent, and you benefited somehow. That's my hope. Like, subscribe. Don't turn on notifications. Turn off all your notifications on everything. Computer, phone, everything. But do subscribe, and then check my channel to see if I uploaded a new video, or the newsletter, I guess. Whatever. But turn off your notifications, man. God. That'll be another video I'll do probably in this 11 series, all about notifications and how awful they are for your life. All right, cool. Hope you enjoyed. See you in the next one. Take care.